So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone present here. So it is my absolute honor to welcome each one of you to this webinar on the World Youth Day 2024. I am Rezina Dhartigale from Nepal, and I will be moderating. I, along with my friend Deshani Silva, will be moderating the webinar for you all today. So before we officially begin our program, let us all pause for a moment to invite the presence of Lord in our gathering. So I would like to request our Reverend Father Zozo to lead us into the prayer. Over to you, Father.
Thank you. Let us pray. So let's raise our hands to God on this feast of Christ the King. O God, your Son has been raised from the dead and enthroned as King of the universe. As we celebrate Jesus' reign of justice and peace over God's creation and our planet Earth, we also realize that the youth and the upcoming generations are important to the church and especially to our movement, so that they will carry on the mandate of Pope Francis, inviting us to be agents of social change and also protagonists. That means actors of selfless charity and service, so that we don't think of ourselves, but we think of God in our midst, and we render all our talents, even our brokenness, for the service of God and the service of the young people in our midst as we celebrate the World Youth Day. And God's blessings be upon us as we gather to share, to reflect. All this we pray through Christ, who is the King of the universe and of our planet Earth, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Father, for the uplifting prayer. So now, as we move forward, it is essential to ground ourselves in the purpose of this gathering. So we are honored to have Mr. Suman Gale, the coordinator of IMCS Asia Pacific, to enlighten about IMCS Pax Romana and the significance of the global celebrations of Youth and Adults Day. So over to Mr. Suman Gale.
Okay, thank you, Regina, for inviting me to I'll brief you about why we have gathered here and why we have this particular celebration, what we call World Youth Day. It's a global celebration of youths and adults. Distinguished speakers, chaplains, animators, friends, and members of IMCS family. I, Suman Gole from International Movement of Catholic Students, IMCS Asia Pacific Coordination Team, would like to greet you with utmost gratitude for making your way to this webinar. We are extremely grateful for your contribution towards the building and strengthening of the movement. In this world of diminishing hope, where disparity and power play politics are causing casualty and chaos in the communities, we will striving for with a perpetual hope that one day we will find solace and comfort. Young people's benevolence and intriguing commitments toward building a better world for all humanity really inspires us to be more transformative and create platforms for them. Embodying the vision of a peaceful, just, inclusive, and greener world, we set our course with a more tangible and devout motivation towards connecting our dots with other stakeholders, institutions, and societies for change. As we are journeying ahead, holding hands together with our students, internalizing their voices in our diaries and transferring them into our guiding philosophies and immersing ourselves with their world. Recognizing the significance of youth's presence in the church and its mission of evangelization, in the year 2020 on November 22, Pope Francis called for the global celebration of young people in local dioceses and parishes, renewing their and captivating them for the evangelization of the inner faith the church has held for centuries. This mission, contemplating the mystery of Christ the Redeemer, has been emphasized since John Paul II, the initiator and patron of World Youth Day. The celebration of Global Youth Day falls between Palm Sunday and Christ the King Sunday. Since 1954, the International Movement of Catholic Students, IMCS Asia Pacific, has journeyed with tertiary students, aligning its mission with the doctrines of the Church and all the challenges of times. During his address to the family of IMCS near Pax Romana on 20th September this year, His Holiness Pope Francis has urged us to be the protagonists of the revolution of charity and service, and encouraged us to be the agents of social change, building a more inclusive, harmonious, and sustainable world. Today, we have gathered here with an intention that we celebrate the presence of our students amidst us. Their sacrifices, their voluntarism, their compassion, their contribution, and their commitments toward bringing voices of the suppressed, poor, and marginalized has always motivates us to do more and be more. I am hopeful that we will have a very insightful hours ahead listening to the sharings of our esteemed speakers. Thank you everyone for being here tonight with us. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We welcome you into this webinar on World Youth Day 2024. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Suman. So now we move on to the crucial parts of the today's event. So let's welcome all of our distinguished guest speakers with a round of applause and share their valuable perspective with us today. So first of all, I'd like to introduce today's guest speaker to you all. So we have Jessica Santamayor from ICAF, Monica Onchuri, member of Pan Africa, and Victor Ayerthe from IMCS MIEC Pax Romana. So I'm sorry if I have pronounced your name incorrect. So yeah, so for the first session, I'd like to call upon Jessica Santamayor from ICAF to Jessica Sarah Santamayor from the Roman Catholic Diocese of Mangalore, Karnataka, India. She is currently pursuing a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology and English Literature at St. Joseph's University, Bangalore. Her involvement in youth ministry began during her schooling days through active participation in the Young Students Movement. She has served as the Diocesan President of the Young Catholic Students Movement in the Diocese of Mangalore, Karnataka, India. Representing the Diocese and Karnataka region at various national programs, Ms. Jessica Santamayor is now actively serving in youth ministry through ICAF. Currently, she serves as a national team member of All Indian Catholic University Federation, ICAF, and the regional secretary at the Karnataka State Youth Commission in India. Ms. Jessica Santamayor is actively involved in university, state, and national level ICAF programs and is contributing to the development of young people and society. ICAF has contributed to Jessica's personal growth. Through the movement, she is accompanying young people to bridge the gap between faith and reality. She has represented ICAF as a student leader at the CAFE program held at the IYTC Center, Chiang Mai, Thailand. Ms. Jessica Santamayor conducts various sessions and workshops for the integral development of youth. So now may I call upon Ms. Jessica to lead us into our next session.
Thank you for this sweet introduction. Firstly, I would like to thank IMCS Asia Pacific, Ms. Bertha and Mrs. Suman Gale for this wonderful opportunity. So, a very good evening to all my young friends and wishing you all a very happy World Youth Day. So, as we are celebrating the World Youth Day today, youth today are seen as the young leaders and the active members of the church because youth are very active, they are energetic, they are very passionate. They have so many new ideas, they are innovative, they are creative in their thoughts. Apart from that, even in society, they play a significant role in making a positive change and making a positive impact in people's life. Moving to the next slide, um, our Holy Father says, addressing all the youth, you, dear young people, are not the future. We like to say, you are the future. No, you are the present. You're not the future of God. You young people are the now of God. So here, Pope Francis addresses all the youth, and he says that youth should fully actively engage in the world and live out their faith and potential, not only for waiting for the future, but also mainly in the present. Pope Francis says that you're not the future of God, you young people are the now of God. So let's see, why does Pope Francis says that? So, moving to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, why now of God and the present of the church? So, because the youth or the young leaders are the agents of change and faith. They are the ones who are going to lead the church. Youth leaders, they have innovative ideas, they are passionate, they are energetic, they have digital knowledge, they are the bridge builders, they are the witnesses of Christ, and every youth have a diverse perspective which make them unique. So now, as we observed, what Pope Francis says that you are the now of God and the present of the church, and even the church says the same. But yet we see many youth who are not really interested into this, who are driven away from the church or who are disconnected from the church. They don't really want to get involved in the youth ministries or into the church. It's because of various reasons and the challenges that are faced by the youth. So the grassroots challenges or many realities that are faced by them may be different from what is in my region. So now I would like to share the grassroots realities that are faced by youth in my region. It may be similar in different countries, or it may vary to certain extent, but let us look at it. So in my region, the first thing is a lack of accompaniment. So here, when I say lack of accompaniment, is means when the youth feels that there is a lack of personal connection with an animator or a moderator or a mentor. Accompaniment not only means to be with them, but
Oh, okay. Oh, we lost them. Yes, okay.
I think Jessica has been disconnected. Maybe she has some internet issue. So without wasting time, we would like to move on with our second speaker, Mrs. Monica Onchui, the member of Pan Africa. So Monica Onchui, hailing from Kenya, is a passionate advocate for education and youth leadership. A recent graduate with a bachelor's degree in education, she has been an active member.
Yes, Jessica, please continue.
yeah, I'm so sorry. It was due to network issues. Kindly excuse me. Yeah. So as I continue, firstly, I would talk about lack of accompaniment. So when I mean lack of accompaniment, what it means is when there is a lack of personal connection um, with the youth, with their animators, with their chaplains, or their mentor. Their accompaniment not only means to just be with them, but also journeying together is what that matters. And it when the animators or chaplains do not understand their perspectives or their realities and do not support them, it is when they do not feel belong to the youth ministry or to the church. Next, what they face is lack of faith formation. So the lack of faith formation is not mainly because of the church or the youth ministry. Here the family plays the major role, and this is one of the major problems that I have been looking in my college, in my church, and in my movement. Next is lack of community engagement. So community engagement, what it means is where the youth can go to different groups, build relationships, and share their experiences and grow together in faith. But when there is a lack of community engagement, when an individual or a youth is not being able to actively engage with the community, is when they feel that they're not belonged or they get disconnected from the church. Next, the main problem that I have been facing or I have been looking is the sense of belongingness. But because the youth nowadays, they want to be they want to feel belonged, and this happens because of the generation gap, I would say, because the animators, the chaplains, or any mentors or the young leaders, maybe we don't accept the youth the way they are. When I say we don't accept the youth the way they are, it doesn't mean that we don't correct them, but also instead of making them feel judged or instead of making underestimating them, there is no feeling of welcome. So when there is no sense of belongingness to the youth, that is when they are disconnected from the youth ministries, and that is when they're not actively engaged in youth ministries. Next is the peer and societal pressure. So here I have certain examples in my life which I've gone through, under which comes under peer and societal pressure. So firstly is family. So in India, basically in my place where I stay here, they want their child to focus more onto their studies or into their educational, or they want them to focus on more education and career. And when they go to the youth ministry or any other programs or any programs that is conducted by the church, they feel that they won't be able to focus on their career or on their education. And that is when the family restricts youth from going to church activities or any youth ministries or being part of any movement. Second one is their own education and career focus. So when they start, because of the since I'm studying in the university and ICAS is a university movement, most of the young leaders who are capable or enough of doing well in the society do not actively engage because of the academic pressure, because of the exams and different university schedules. And other thing is getting influenced by their peers and their friends. So basically, when there is no sense of belongingness or when there is no accompaniment, what happens is when someone comes and tells you that why are you in youth ministry or why are you doing this, instead you could focus on something else. That is when their interest diverges and they start going away from the youth ministries or to the church. It has happened to me as well. So when I am in youth ministry, I have my classmates coming and telling to me, why are you in youth ministry? You can simply, rather than wasting your time there, you can do something better for your education, you can do internships and etc. But when I talk to them about what exactly youth ministry is, how much your character develops, what exposure you get, that's when they realize, okay, this is the way they are, because they lack of guidance and support. Next is social media and trends. So talking about social media and trends, I feel the youth these days are more into media and social trends, and they prioritize a social life than the church life of the church. So, giving a small example, here in my place or in my university, if you give two options to the students, saying either you need to attend this program or there is a fest on that day, they would prioritize the fest and not the program, because they're more towards these social life, trendy life, and not into doing something better for the church or the society. Moving to the next slide. Okay. Yeah. Lack of opportunities and lack of confidence to tap opportunities. So I would like to say these are the two faces of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. In India, there are remote areas or the rural areas. At the same time, there are students coming from privileged class, city students, and everything. So lack of opportunities are to the ones who come from remote areas or underprivileged students. So they are very talented. They have so many talents. They have leadership qualities, but they don't get opportunity to show their talents, to show their interest. So this is one challenge that is faced by the students who belong to the underprivileged or tribal areas as well. When it comes to lack of confidence to tap opportunities, there are students who come from city, who come from big universities, who study in good colleges. They have tons of opportunity, but they don't really grab them, and they don't have confidence to it because they don't put in efforts. So on the other hand, when the students from the remote areas, they put efforts, they want to showcase, there are lack of opportunities, and on the other hand, where there are opportunities, there are no students who want to put in efforts and use those opportunities. And the last one is lack of guidance and mentorship. So in this lack of guidance and mentorship, not in every cases, but there are few youth who do not receive proper guidance. And when the youth, they don't receive proper guidance, what happens is they tend to go in a wrong way or a wrong path, and which is why they become disconnected from the church. So these are the grassroots realities that are faced by the youth of my regions. And apart from this, there are many other minor grassroots challenges that are faced, but those are not very common. It depends from individual to individual. So next, I would like to say you is the future of our church depends on the present engagement and empowerment of young people. So by understanding their unique challenges and aspirations, we can create more a vibrant community for all. So now I would like to say, from my perspective, how can youth ministries and dioceses better support the needs and aspirations of young people? So the first one is accompanying the youth. So as I mentioned, in the grassroots realities that are faced by the youth of my region, that is lack of accompaniment. So I think the first thing that is mostly needed is accompanying the youth, because the animators, the chaplains, and they play a major role in the youth ministry in the every individual's life. So if they journey together, what mainly matters is journeying together. I have seen a few where they just, they're just there. They don't really journey with the youth. They just tell them do this, do that. But what youth really need now is someone who journeys with them, someone who understands their needs, their struggles, their perspectives, and who supports them. Next is having approachable chaplains and mentors. So I personally feel that having a chaplain or a mentor who's approachable will actually change your life in youth ministry as a youth, because youth these days are going through a lot of the personal problems as well, and they have other addictions, other problems. They prioritize social life. When it comes to all of this, it's really important that we have a chaplain or an animator who is approachable, because they feel that the sense of belongingness when they can go and share anything they want without getting feeling of judged or without any hesitation. And next one is adaptation to modern realities. So because of the generation gap, the way we think and the way our animators and chaplain things usually differs, and that's very valid point. But I think what we can do is, since because of this change in thought process and perspectives, the youth really don't show interest in this youth ministry because they feel that their ideas or their perspectives are not considered. So it's better when the nuns or when the priest or religious chaplain or lay chaplains animators um, change their mindset to match the mindset of the young people. And that's when they feel that okay, they feel that the ideas are understood or the perspectives are understood. And instead of relying on to the old methods in order to connect to the youth, I think we can use the present or modern ways, like using social media to get in youth together, online discussions. And also other one thing what I would like to say was, when we bring youth to the church, we need to make something more interesting so that we can bring them in. So one example is that we have Father Rob Geller's concert coming up on December 4th in my place. And that is what has made our youth very interested, because that's something new. Having concerts of singers and celebrities is something nice, but when you have a concert where you can get closely connect to God, is something for the youth, and that is what they like about it. So I think we can think of that where we can adopt to modern realities. And the next one is youth participation and motivation. So since the youth are going away from the church, they're going away from the ministry, it's really important, it's very very important to bring them back. So I think this can be done where the dioceses or different movements, different ministries can conduct various parties, various competitions or programs that will attract the youth and which will motivate them to participate and get involved in the church and the ministries. Moving to the next slide. Inclusivity and encouragement. Um, Example, giving my own example in my university, there are few students or few young leaders who don't really show up in meetings or any programs because they feel that the ideas are not considered. So I think creating a safe space or where the youth or the young leaders can share their thoughts, their perspectives, their struggles, without the fear of rejection or without the fear of feeling judged, is what will motivate them to have a sense of belongingness and to continue in this youth ministries. Because and giving my own example, when we create a safe space to our young leaders in my university, making them feel like to share anything they want, their ideas, their perspectives, that's when they feel happy and they are more involved, and then they want to then they want to give more to the movement, and they're actively involved. And next is empowering youth leadership. So we have many youth leaders, we have many young leaders, but they don't really have an opportunity to showcase their leadership roles. So we need to empower them to show their leadership roles and provide opportunities to them to show their leadership qualities. And lastly is the financial support to the underprivileged youth. Since India is a big country, I am talking on behalf of ICUF. So we have both the students from the privileged class and underprivileged, mainly we have many. So these they want to attend various programs, they want to be part of different like different programs conducted by different movements, or they want to go to different places to explore themselves, or in order to grab those opportunities. But mainly reason is financial support to the underprivileged youth. Because see, when there is opportunity also, the main thing that is required is the financial support. So that is other thing. So these are the points that I wrote on my behalf, which youth ministries in diocese can support to for the needs and aspirations of young people. So these were my points. And before concluding, what I would like to say to all my young friends is, um, to reflect this quote, I encourage you always to be living stones in the church, to build up the church by being united to Jesus. I requested all the young friends to reflect and understand this, what Pope Francis tells, as he also says that you are not only the future, but also now and present of the church, because the society and the church needs young leaders like you and me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, for your wonderful insights, and then and having us all reflect on the realities which I personally can also relate in my religion. And then, like, we hope that we acknowledge, and then we reflect, and then overcome over the challenges to be the agents of change and faith. So thank you, Jessica, once again. So for our next speaker, I would like to call upon Miss Monica Onchiri. Monica Onshiri, hailing from Kenya, is a passionate advocate for education and youth leadership. A recent graduate with a bachelor's degree in education, she has been an active member of the National Movement of Catholic Students Kenya from 2019 to 2021. Monica served as the Vice Secretary of NMCS Kenya, where she contributed to fostering community and leadership among Catholic students. Her dedication to growth and service continues to inspire her engagement in meaningful initiatives. Yes, over to you, Ms. Monica. A small announcement. If you have any questions from the presentations for our guest speakers, you can have the questions in the chat box for our Q&A session that we'll be having at the end after all of the presentations from our guest speakers. Yes, please, Ms. Monica, over to you.
Hello, how are you? Can you get me? Are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Supposed to talk about the main experiences from the World Youth Day. That is last year, 2023. And I'll be sharing a few of the things, but the main and the most amazing experience that I had during the National Youth Day was the message of the Pope. It was talking about the church, whereby he said that the church is for everyone. And we understand we can be judged up by our various scenarios. It tells us that let the church be a room for everyone. Let us not judge people from whatever they carry out. Let's accept people the way they are. Let's welcome them to our church and our congregation and also in our activities. So this message encourages most people to feel at home and peace without judgment from other people whenever they are in church. So this is encouraging us, we as the IMCS members, that we can come with our burdens, we can come with our issues, and feel so Hello, I'm sorry. Uh, my network has issues, but you can get me. So I was okay. So and yeah, I was talking about prayers, how they were being carried out. First of all, before we go on, during that National Youth Day, we were visiting various places. So maybe first, if I can start, we started with Fatima and how these prayers were carried out. First, we as our group, we were moving, praying as a group, moving, each person having his or her own prayers, whereby from there people were meditating. So yeah, and then on to my next point, we have the faith of those people who have dedicated their lives to Christ. So first of all, we are the various people in that we are the fathers, or you can call them priests. We are the nuns, whom we could see their faith and these motivated or encouraged me as a young person. And then the next one, we have commitment from the brothers and sisters, especially in the act of service in the church and the world at large. From that National Youth Day, we were carrying out various acts of services. For instance, the charity works, we could see how people were helping the needy people in the society, and that also was a good or another experience that I was able to see. Then the next thing we had reflections and meditations exercises that created in-depth knowledge of faith and connecting to the Creator. This means that whenever we had any free time, we could carry out meditation activities, and this could help us strengthen our faith to our Creator. And then the next thing we have the faith of young children, and this could be seen, especially when we were carrying out our evening sessions. We could see how young children have been nurtured and they could hold up prayers. So this challenged me as a young person. What am I doing? What am I working on, especially when it comes to prayers? What am I doing when it comes to meditation? So that also helped me, especially knowing that we have a parents and the community as large training the young people about prayers. And then lastly, we had the humility of the religious people. During that National Youth Day, we were sleeping in the field and we could see various religious people like the priests, we had the religious sisters, we had brothers in faith who were sleeping on the ground. And that's actually motivated me. I was asking myself if this kind of a person can sleep on the ground. What about me? So the humility of the religious people motivated me, and I was able to interact with those people without them showcasing their titles that I'm a priest, I'm a sister. Yeah, because despite them having a title in church, they could be humble enough and sleep with other people. So those are among my various experiences I had. But when I started, I said that the main one was that message of the Pope about the church, whereby he said that the church is a room for everyone. On to the next one, and the last thing I'll be talking about. So we have how such events, how, for instance, not such events, how the the international youth day can foster a stronger sense of global community. So how such an event can foster a stronger sense of global community, how it can bring us, we as the young people, together in church. So first, they can help the youth to have a different mindset of doing activities. For instance, we are able to interact with people from different countries. For instance, we as Africans, when we landed there, first of all, you are able to learn that various people, depending on the country where you come from, there are different cultures. And we have people having different culture shocks. So from that event, we learned that I'm different, you are different, the way you think is different, the way you do your activities is different. So that alone was able to help us learn that different people have a different mindset, and that can help us do things in a different way. Point number two, it encourages the youth to get involved in volunteer activities, which contributes to positive changes in all the aspects, especially in our society or in the community. As we all know, the motto of IMCS is a preferential option for the people. So through the national international activities or such like World Youth Day, you are able to learn that people love carrying out volunteer activities, for instance, helping the needy people in the society, and not only giving material things, but you can share the knowledge you have with other people. And that is bringing unity among young people in the society. We also have helping groups to have numerous numerous creative ways of raising funds in order to support their groups and also their members in order to attend such activities. Funny enough, when we were there in the World Youth Day, we were able to learn that most countries or most areas, for instance, in Europe, we have those finances, we have the resources, but we don't have the people who can utilize those resources. So we as the Africans, we were challenged that, sometimes we may be available, but then we don't have the resources. So from the interactions we had, we are able to learn that we have numerous ways that we can create by ourselves as young people in order to support our group as NMCS Kenya and other members of the society in order to raise funds that can help us be active as other groups in various countries. And then lastly, they give young people a forum to share the message to others, which helps them to grow spiritually. One thing about Africa, and I love sharing mostly about this one, we as Africans, we love God. I guess this is our time. We have many people in the church, and through these events that we have, it gives young people a forum to share the message of God to other people. We have the forum, we have the number, therefore it means that we can move to other places and share the message that we have, the message of God to other people. And lastly, I would love also to talk on sorry, just a minute. I would also love to talk about how these are reflections and activities at our local level might bring students together in solidarity for building a global community. So we have various ways in which as young people we can use in order to foster or to have or to bring people together as a community. They are not there in my presentations, but I hope you can hear me. You can just write them somewhere, or maybe I can share later. So number one, we can have reflections and meditations. We can rather say reflections at the same time with the meditations. We can also have Bible study discussions. This can bring young people together. We can also organize a charity activities or charity works, like, for instance, visiting the prisons, the children homes. Through that, we can be able to interact with different people. We also have team building activities. You have to look for something that can bring young people or the youth people or whatever entices the youth people to be together. And then lastly, we can have the monthly meetings. Through these, people can be sharing whatever they have been learning through the month. Thank you all. That's all about my presentation. So just in case anybody has a question, I'll just share in the chat box and I'll be responding later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Monica, for your wonderful sharing and your experience on World Youth Day, and also bringing us the message of His Holiness that the church is a room for everyone, like how a church is a room for everyone, and then how we can contribute to have positive change in numerous aspects, even through the individualization approach. and then have unity among all of us. So once again, thank you, Miss Monica. So for our last guest speaker, we have Mr. Victor. So Victor is a distinguished key speaker for today, currently pursuing a degree in international business, Vilnius University, Ghana. His journey with IMCS began in 2013, bringing over a decade of experience where he has served in various leadership roles at local, national, and international levels. Most notably, he recently completed his term as the Secretary General of IMCS Pax Romana, leaving a legacy of impactful contribution. With a passion for exploring new ideas and engaging in meaningful dialogue, he enjoys storytelling and is known for his unique perspective. So I would like to call upon Mr. Victor to take over the session. Over to
Hello,
you.
everyone. Thank you very much, Regina, for an interesting introduction. How is everyone doing here? You can just write in the chat which country you are from. At least it would be good to know. I would be sharing my screen with everybody concerning. Give me a moment. Yep. Okay. I think practically. Okay. Shimon, please kindly share. I think I'm not really finding my document here, so. Oh, okay. No, not this one. Yes. Can you all see my screen? Great, great. So thank you everyone for joining today. I like the perspectives from the two previous speakers, and it's interesting to know that we are all contributing to the same cause and we are all in the same mission. And so I would move straight to sharing my perspective on this topic, the role of the Catholic youth movement in building a global community for advocacy and solidarity. And I believe that this can be achieved through connecting, empowering, and mobilizing youth for a better world. To move on, if we believe that we are all called to be actors, then it means that we are individually recognized as active participants wherever we are, and not just observers or passive individuals. No matter how we find ourselves or where we find ourselves, it is important to acknowledge how each and every one of us, is unique in our, space and who we are. And this brings me to my next slide. I'm supposed to be sharing it as a PowerPoint, but yeah, this slide is not really helping coming. Can you see my screen now? I think this should be better.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So as the unique role of IMCS and the global movement as a Catholic Church, so the Catholic youth movement, I believe that the first point would be, having faith as the foundational guide for our advocacy. And this can be done through promoting the Catholic social teachings as a principle that guides us in how we move, what we talk about, how we, interact with our community. When you look at the Catholic social teachings critically, you understand that every social teaching focuses on every aspect of our community, of the human life, of the environment, of anything that we can be able to advocate about. And this encourages, as Global Catholic Youth Movement, encourages the integration of the faith and action in addressing global challenges. Let me give you a typical example about what we've been talking about since, for instance, 2015, when Pope Francis published the encyclical promoting Laudato Si. We've had various Catholic youth movements issuing or having workshops that inspire care for the earth or care for creation through the lens of the Catholic social teachings. And as an individual in 2022, I was involved in one of these social teaching campaigns or activities with other global Catholic youth movements and other like-minded organizations during the COP27 in Egypt, and we're promoting Laudato Si as a means and instrument to advocate for care of the creation, care of the earth. The next point I'll talk about is the platforms, creating platforms for thematic connections. I use thematic connections because the various topics, the various activities that or things that we can talk about comes in different thematic areas. And then you would see that when we create spaces for dialogue across cultures, across regions on various points or topics of interest, it gives us a bigger room to understand what we need to address and how we need to address. It also helps us to develop a good forum for discussion and how we can respond to some of these global issues. Last year, for instance, some of you who were, privileged enough to be in Chiang Mai, in IYTC, we had a World Assembly, and our focus was on climate change. And we had various discussions, different perspectives from different regions, right? And it gives us a perspective of how this climate issue or this climate change is affecting every region. And then we can also talk about issues like inequality, issues like peace building. And a clear example as well is, having student forums organized by Catholic youth groups to address like some of these common challenges, for instance, such as access to education, not just the climate, but access to education, and not even just the university education, but primary and then secondary education, and even the migration issues that we are facing across the world now. Moving on, I also believe that the unique role the Catholic youth movement play is the formation of global and missionary leaders. And through this, we are able to understand where we can become very relevant or contribute through our actions. And you realize that it provides a training in leadership, how to become a leader or how to build yourself in growing as a leader in advocacy generally, and also through community engagements in various topics or wherever you find yourself, whether in your university, whether in your classroom, whether in your home, or even the community you come from, or wherever you travel to. It gives you that mindset of I can be very important and I can have an impact wherever I find myself. It also empowers the youth or we as young people to take active roles in the church and in the society. The first speaker was talking about accompaniment and the lack thereof in some aspects that she has encountered. And so a community or a space like the Catholic Youth Movement gives us the opportunity to become the animators that accompany us when we, take up these leadership roles. And so the next aspect, which I would mention, as the last thing, before the last thing, is about solidarity through action and campaigns. And when you look at this, it's not just about saying, okay, we stand with this country or we stand with this community because they've been affected negatively. We can also stand in solidarity by leading international campaigns or local campaigns or even national campaigns from our corners or from our movements in the university. Talk about environmental sustainability, talk about migration justice, talk about gender-based violence. And these are common things that we experience every day wherever we find ourselves. We can also, I mentioned earlier about access to education, and not just access to education, but relevant education, because education helps us, it builds us in every aspect, trainings and all that. We can also talk about peace, right? Peace before, during, and after political elections in our country. An example is that I know that in Zimbabwe, they have, pray and then go and cast your vote. And that gives the chance to be able to advocate, to be able to give young people the platform to participate in political activities. Being a participant in political activities does not make you a bad person. It actually gives you the platform to use your voice to contribute to the policies that affect your country and literally affects you as well. And also foster a sense of shared responsibility and commitment in the common good that we are all, embarking on and enforcing. The next thing I'll talk about is the role that the Catholic youth movement play is so unique that each and every one of us, it built us to become lifelong volunteers. It formed us to avail ourselves for the causes that we believe are very important. Myself, I have been a volunteer like a lot of years now. And everywhere I find myself, I want to be able to use my talent, to use who I am, to use my capacity to be able to contribute, even if it's lifting a chair from one place to the other, even if it's cleaning the table, even if it's helping an elderly to be able to, have something to eat or even to smile. You have the opportunity to be a volunteer to impact somebody's life. And wherever you find yourself as a volunteer, you know how to be able to build communities. The next thing I'll talk about is that from the unique role that the Catholic youth movements play, it also strengthens the collaboration between youth movements, right? When you look at IMCS Pax Romana as a global movement, we have other partners and we have other collaborators. In your country, there are other movements, there are other Catholic movement, there are other, faith-based organizations that you can collaborate with. And that takes me to the point of shared vision, which and mission, which enhances the participation or partnerships for greater impact. Because, the more the impacts that we have in our communities. So we are able to establish the common goals, align ourselves also with the gospel values, and then the church's mission and the informations we receive every day. Example, having like a joint initiatives. For instance, we've had some in the past, and I know some are still ongoing between, for instance, IMCS, Caritas, and some local youth groups to be able to respond to, for instance, the humanitarian crisis that we go through or that we experience that affect other people. All of us on the call here, I would say, have been privileged to be here, to be able to understand some of these things, to share ideas, and so we can be able to move on to have such impact. The next point I will also mention is about network building. And whatever we are doing here is actually building networks, because we can see all of us, we can know who we are. And for instance, if I'm traveling to India, I know that Marina is there. I know that Jessica, who just spoke, is there, and I can connect and I can be able to have, some integration, just be able to build a network. It may not necessarily be to just preach the gospel, but also to build our personal capacities, our personal interests, and also using, platforms. For instance, Monica shared from her experience at the World Youth Day. She met a lot of people. She was able to network. I'm sure she currently still have friends from the World Youth Day that she interacts with and then exchange ideas with. The other thing which connects to this would be about capacity building. And capacity building cuts across a lot of things. For instance, hosting a joint training programs and workshops, which enhances, skills and in advocacy and problem solving. If we don't have a lot of time, I would have, conducted some exercise here for us to see how, we have been able to been equipped with some problem solving activities. And clearly, we can look at a typical example from IYTC, knowing that there are capacity building activities going on there. And then we can also, in our various countries, inspire our leaders or our executives to be able to build or have that joint collaboration with youth organizations as well. The other thing is about innovative communication. And when you talk about innovative communication, we are in a digital world now, and we are having this training, which in the past would have needed us to all come together in a common space to sit, and then I'll have maybe writing something on a cardboard or a board to do this webinar. But I'm here in Europe, you are there in Asia, you are there in Africa, and then we are having this collaboration, this webinar, which gives us the platform to use the tools to amplify our voices, to be able to champion campaigns globally. We've seen a lot of things going global, going viral about various topics. We can also do the same because we are many, and we can be able to champion and collaborate, add more people to it. The last thing is about resource and idea sharing. The resources is not necessarily just only about financial resources, but also intellectual resources, our capacities as we've been able to build. I'm leading this webinar because it's also part of resource sharing. I'm sharing my knowledge that I have also gained through IMCS or through the Catholic movement over the years. An example is that I know that the global Catholic movement have these collaborations where they share ideas to be able to build campaigns or to be able to lead projects, across the world. Moving on from just strengthening us, the other thing will also be building grassroots movements with a global mindset. Jessica was talking about the grassroots experiences that she has, and that can be enhanced further to give us the opportunity to build on, to grow, and then to extend from local engagement to global advocacy. In 2020, we had a global advocacy training online. I don't know if any of you were able to join, but personally, I joined, and I've seen other young people joining, and they have been able to have several impact in their communities because of that training, which means that we can also do that by encouraging youth engagement within our parish levels through initiatives. IMCS, the parishes, the campuses, we can have some of this training. So starting with our community is the best thing that we can do, because you know your community, you know the people that you have, you speak a common language, you understand the things similarly. So it's best to start there, which creates or foster awareness on local issues, and then that connects to the global challenge. Because education, for instance, climate change, is not just a world issue, it's a community-based issue. Because if we take care of our environment, for instance, I'm from Ghana, if I help to take care of the environment in Ghana, it helps to keep, Ghana safe, Ghana, the environment grows. And if other countries continue to do the same, then it builds a good chain for the world to be better. So an example, for instance, I think I've read somewhere where the youth in Philippines also lead disasters to be able to, for instance, programs in flood-prone communities. The other thing is about cultivating the perspective, global perspective, which helps teach students to see themselves as global citizens within a faith context, and highlighting how interconnected we are on issues like, for instance, poverty, the environment, education. And an example would be about, the Catholic youth advocating for international climate policies on, for instance, the UN platforms. And we've had one of our leaders, Beta, going on platform to be able to advocate on human rights and business, which definitely trickles down to affect young people as well. And we've had issues hosting drives about louder to see, which is still ongoing. The other thing would be through empowering ourselves through education and participation. So we have to be active participants in that aspect. Running webinars like this helps us to be able to learn more, education as a right, fostering dialogue from the grassroots, and then leading to the advocacy on a global level. The last thing on this point I would talk about is encouraging storytelling. Now, when Regina was introducing me, she mentioned about my interest in storytelling. If I ask any of us now the stories we remember, it will be from stories our parents told us about, our community growing up. Some can be, for instance, I can give an example for myself where I've had my grandma telling me stories, just stories that inspire me. And at the end of the day, there's a moral lesson to learn from that. In our various capacities, we can use the medium or the media that we have, our TikToks, our Instagram, our Facebook, our Snapchats, and all the platforms that we have to be able to share our stories that we have. So if there's an issue going on in your community, for instance, there's a flood, talk about it. If there's an issue about human rights that you feel you can talk about it and not be harassed, seek professional assistance. Seek, advices from your accompaniers, your priests, your youth leaders, and learn how to be able to, talk about it. Schumann has been creating videos to promote his community, to promote issues that relates to him. I'm connected with a few of you on Facebook, and I've seen some of our young people sharing, their aspects, their perspective on various issues. So, for instance, there's a young woman from Africa sharing, issues about reforestation efforts. And then there's also similar projects inspiring that in South America through digital storytelling, or even the natural disasters that have been affecting some communities or some countries in Asia. A typical example is Bangladesh. I've seen one of our members who is from Bangladesh always talking about how the flood affects his community. And it gives us the opportunity to bring advocacy not just from the international level to our communities, but from our communities to the international level. In 2018 and 2019, I was involved in advocacy campaign about e-waste management that was spearheaded by the Pan-African Coordination. And what happened is that in countries like Ghana, we have importers, or we have trade going on where waste shirts that are destroyed, that are secondhand clothing, electronics that are broken, things that are not really good for the use of communities are imported into my country and are sold. Now, by the time they arrive in my country, they've become waste. And then where do they go? They go back into the environment. And that affects our water, that affects our health through, for instance, pollution, that affects several things in the chain. And we're involved in this campaign because we know that it's a common reality in several countries in West Africa or several countries in Africa. And I'm sure a common issue is also happening in somewhere in Asia. And you can talk about it. You can find creative ways to talk about it. We had some similar training in the World Assembly to talk about how you can use videos, how you can use the media to be able to promote your community, to engage in advocacy and solidarity. And so through this activities, or through this, building, capacity building and knowledge sharing, we are able to engage, we are able to be involved in our communities. And I just want to say that together, we are the change, and we can lead the change that we find ourselves in. And so when you look at various things, when you look at the, inspired engagement that we've been able to have, each small action that we take individually contributes to a global, change. and we are a global movement. So we are moving constantly. We are always on the move. And so whatever action we take, whatever we say, however we say it, wherever we share it, whoever we interact with, we should share our voice, lend our actions. And for instance, in 2020, Young Catholics United Online, including Pax Romana, to be able to, lead, for instance, candlelight processions online. And some of these active actions, bring change, bring inspiration to whoever sees it. You never know what anybody is going through until you share, until you interact and engage with them. I would also say that the practical, participation in the global event that is upcoming. For instance, next year there's the Jubilee Year of Young People, which is happening in Rome. I pray and hope that a lot of us here would be able to join. There's also the World Youth Day, which is coming to Asia. We are going to Seoul. Hopefully, we can meet there. But before we get there, it's important to be able to know that we can join and create, these actions. We can be able to collaborate and tackle pressing issues that we find ourselves in. And for instance, joining activities, pilgrimages, whether in our local society or organized by the movement in our universities, we can be able to do that. Sorry. And through this collaboration in our regions, we are able to lead change. We are able to become the change. So on this note, I would say that let us work together as a united force for faith, hope, and love in this world that we find ourselves in our communities, in our universities, in our home. In your home, you are the change leader or you are the change maker. So leave a positive impact, leave a positive experience. And then hopefully when we meet, we can be able to share our experiences, have some good laugh. It's not all about the serious teachings and the training and everything. We also need to have some good time and take care of ourselves. I could relate to what Monica was sharing because I was at a World Youth Day last year and I was a volunteer. So I was giving my service to the World Youth Day as a movement. I was privileged enough and blessed enough to meet Pope Francis, to also, have that experience of being a Catholic youth and meeting Pope Francis. I was in Asia to also share my experience, to be a part of the community that is leading change, that is leading the global climate action. And so through various actions, we are able to experience the world through us. We are able to impact the world. I will be privileged to meet all of you, but now, if you have any questions, I would like to hear from you. I would like to hear your experience about how or what actions you are taking to be able to contribute to building a global youth movement for advocacy and solidarity. Thank you very much, and happy Christ the King Sunday.
Thank you, Victor, for your wonderful insight and ideas and delivering this wonderful takeout for all of us here. And hope this it help us to do and do something greater for our community that can have a positive impact on the people and then community at the same time. We would also like to have more of a guidance to be the change together and be the change maker. So thank you, Victor, once again. So for the next session, I'd like to call upon my friend Deshani for the Q&A session. Over to you, Deshani.
Thank you, Regina. Hello, I'm Deshan Silva, Secretary of the Sri Lanka University Catholic Students Movement from Sri Lanka. My first question goes to Mr. Victor. What are the key issues addressing by Catholic youth movement worldwide?
Yes, thank you very much, Ishani Silva, for this question. it's just clear that there are several issues that face young people or that young people are facing throughout the world. And some examples that I gave earlier in my presentation are, for instance, poverty. All of us here need money. I mean, let's be truthful to ourselves, right? We all need money, but it takes some activity, it takes some action to make sure that happens. So first, we also have various issues that are connected to that. There are young people looking for jobs, there are young people looking for opportunities to grow. Now you need to be able to build yourself to be ready for whatever opportunity will come. We have issues also, for instance, like environmental sustainability that we keep talking about and we keep promoting. We also have issues like migration or immigration that is also gradually affecting our communities. Some countries are losing resources and very important resources. When I talk about resources, I'm talking about human resources that is because, for instance, the environment or the economic environment is not facilitating some good opportunities for them. So they will move to another country to be able to find greener pastures, right? These are issues that are affecting our communities, are affecting us as individuals. And also peace is also a like very sensitive topic and very important issue to talk about that we know that is affecting all of us. In the next 4 or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, there's an election in my country. I'm always praying for peace. I'm always praying for justice. With an example is your country, right? Last year, last 2 years, there were some riots and demonstrations in Sri Lanka. And we hope that things will change. Recently, I heard there was the re-election, and I hope these issues do not, escalate. But then through contributions, and we've seen, for instance, some of the Catholic youth members or the priests joining the campaigns to make sure that there's peace in 7 countries. So these are just some, topics or issues that I think I can highlight on this top question.
Thank you. Next question is, how do Catholic youth movement empower youth to lead in global efforts?
Is a question to me? So, uh,
How do Catholic youth movement empower youth to lead in global efforts?
okay, I presume this question is for me again. So, Global Catholic Youth Movement, I mentioned that in my when I was being introduced that I have been in the movement IMCS from 2013. Now, my journey through that, you know, all these years until now has been through the effort of me availing myself to participate. Before that, I used to be a member of the Catholic students, in my secondary school and high school, and also leadership. But from my journey in 2013 or 2014, I became a vice president. Then in 2015, I became a national president, and I joined various campaigns and various committees in IMCS. But what is important to know is that each and every one of us, or myself, has availed myself to be able to be equipped by some of these trainings, to read a lot, to be engaged in various activities, and avail myself to say that, yes, I'm made for this, I can be a part of it, and I can continue impacting, I can continue contributing. So when I look at it from not just my perspective or my side of the story, I would say that it's important that every of us here opens ourselves, and anybody who is out there who may listen to this, avail yourself for these opportunities that will come. Build yourself in a way that when the opportunities come and you are given the platform or the role, you can be able to participate, you can be able to lead global efforts. Yes, I've had opportunities to speak on behalf of IMCS on policies, on global platforms, for instance, the climate conference, that recently, for instance, is happening in Baku, in Azerbaijan, about climate issues and highlighting the impact of what young people are doing in various countries. So it's important to avail ourselves. It's not just about speaking on international platforms, but speaking on platforms everywhere and anywhere, because you've had experience, because we've had that capacity that is equipped in us by IMCS or any Catholic youth movement.
Well, my third question is, in what way do Catholic Students Movement collaborate with other organizations for social change?
We've had the opportunity to be privileged that there's a common message that we share. There's a common faith that we share as Catholics, right? And so in countries, for instance, in Ghana, we have other Catholic youth movements, and we have a common issues that we want to solve. So what happens is that if you are running a campaign, you cannot do it all alone. You need other people to be able to join you to have that impact, to be able to embark on certain campaigns. If you are campaigning for an issue such as gender-based violence does not know faith, it does not know your color, it does not know your age, it does not know your country or your race, right? And so it is best to open up and ask organizations or ask other Catholic youth movements for support, for collaboration, because it affects all of us. So having that, next step to be able to say, okay, write to the next organization, let's have a collaboration, let's do this workshop, let's train these young people, let's be able to advocate for this issue, is a good thing. So creating the platform and reaching out and connecting through the networking that we've been doing all this time in our lives or as organizations, through the collaborations that we identify with, through the shared mission, it helps us to be able to, strengthen that collaboration and be able to use our innovative communication to be able to also use the resources that we have amassed, whether human, financial, or intellectual, or even our, spiritual faith, to build that collaboration to address issues in our society.
Thank you, Mr. Victor, for your insightful answers. My next question goes to Ms. Jessica. How does IMCS engage with daily struggles and challenges faced by youth at the grassroots level?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yes. How does IMCS engage with daily struggles and challenges faced by youth?
Okay, so as you all know, ICOF, All India Catholic University Federation, is affiliated to IMCS. What I have realized is, since I went to the recent program, which was hosted by IMCS Cafe, it has actually enlightened me, and I have got a broad knowledge of how we used to always think only of the national level, like ICOF only as a national movement, but then it has helped us to understand that it is also an international movement, and it helps us in various ways. Like, it gives us opportunity through this online platforms, as like they have different webinars conducting. So we send this to the students at the grassroots levels as well, to the units. And these students from different universities join these various online sessions. They actively take part in those sessions, so which will help them to grow in their personal life and understand about ICUF as well as IMCS more in a more better way. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question for the Ms. Jessica. In what ways does IMCS support the spiritual, education, and social development of youth?
Yeah, could you please repeat?
In what way does IMCS support the spiritual, education, and social development of young generation?
Okay. See, just like how ICUF has its, various commissions, we work under that. And similarly, IMCS also has maybe it in a spiritual way also, and in other helping in a social way, and also in intellectual development. By conducting various, see, we don't get a chance to go offline, attend in offline workshops much, but everything happens through online. So through this, it has helped us also to gain insights on from the IMCS. It has helped us as a group, as a grassroots level as well.
Thank you. My next question goes, thank you, Ms. Jessica, for your answers, insightful, valuable thoughts. Next, my question goes to Ms. Monica. In what way do the IMCS events encourage youth to participate in volunteer interesting initiatives? May I repeat? How does, am I audible?
Yeah, I think Monica is having some internet issues. I think this is Dashani. I think you can once again repeat your questions, and if not Monica, then if other speakers and our participants has anything to give clarification on your questions, they also can do it.
Deshani, could you repeat the question?
Sure. In what way do the events encourage youth to participate in voluntary initiatives?
Okay. I think maybe while Monica is trying to join, I can be able to make an input into this. So I mentioned about lifelong, volunteering, formation. And so events that have been organized even by IMCS in your university gives you the platform to say, okay, I want to contribute to change. I want to contribute to a difference in my community. If that topic or that, volunteering activity resonates with you, avail yourself to join. Even if it's a new topic to you, avail yourself to join and learn about it and how you can be able to contribute. Volunteering is not necessarily the fact that you are giving off your service and not getting anything in return. You are building yourself in training, you are building yourself in how to connect with people and how to relate with people. So activities like what any IMCS in a university organizes, any activity that organizes, I would say is a platform to volunteer. It's a platform for activities that cuts across. Any training, any activity that is happening within your university is a platform where you can volunteer and become. Ideally, IMCS is an international NGO. So all of us here are volunteers, right? We are potentially volunteers everywhere we go because IMCS is not just a student or a Catholic, global-based organization. It's also recognized as an international non-governmental organization by the United Nations. And so we are all volunteers on this journey and as a movement. So thank you.
Thank you, Victor, for bringing that. Is Monica available now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, next questions from Miss Monica. What what the role do the events plays in helping young people to grow their spirituality? What is the role of these kind of IMCS events
Could you please?
what is the role of the events organized by IMCS to help young generations for their spirituality and mental health?
Okay, so I think IMCS is playing a very significant role helping the young people, especially through the various interactions. For instance, from this webinar, I'm very sure I'm able to interact with different people from different areas. Similar thing, for instance, if IMCS organizes an organization. It helps people to interact with people from different countries, people with different mindsets, and this is nurturing the young people, especially in their spiritual growth, because we are able to know how different people worship God, how different people meditate, how different people do their reflections, and more especially how they do their thing. I hope I've answered. I didn't get the last part clearly though.
Thank you for your answer. My next question goes to Ms. Monica. How we create international platform to engage with youth in other countries as well through IMCS platform.
Okay, so for we to create an online platform on how different people or various people from different countries, for instance, from the IMCS office, we have different officials, and through these officials, we can be able to get members of those various country people in order to be able to interact. So I guess from what we are doing online, we are able to get people from different countries so that we may create online platforms in order for us to be able to interact with other people.
Thank you so much for your valuable ideas. Is there
You're
anyone
welcome.
have to ask any questions? Now it's time. You can unmute yourself and ask from our guest speakers. Since there aren't any, I would like to thank Mr. Victor, Miss Jessica, and Miss Monica for their valuable presentation and words. It's more insightful for our IMCS journey. Over to you, Regina.
Thank you, Desani, and all the key speakers. So before we conclude our webinar with a prayer, I'd like to call upon Mr. Suman Gale for a announcement. Over to you, Suman. Bye.
Thank you, Regina and Dasani, for taking the charge of, moderating the sessions and everything. So before I move into the announcement, I have to make you understand why I'm making this announcement or why we have come up with this initiative. So, in this year was really a blessing for us because we had our three major international events. So we had our Empowerment Summit, International Council, and we had our private audience with His Holiness Pope Francis. So after this global events, we have come up with different outcomes. I mean, we have the outcomes of this major event. So we are conducting and initiating different platforms for our students around the globe. Recently, we have already shared in our social media platforms and other platform as well about different initiative, different programs that are coming in the year 2025. So one is why we are doing all these initiatives and programs, because we want to make this PAX Jubilee campaign 2025 to 2027 very special one for our students, and we are also preparing for the World Youth Day 2027. So we are having initiatives like academics for our students as well in IYTC Chiang Mai. So, but one announcement that I want to make today is for this one. So we are doing this US PAX Essay Challenge. So we also call it YPEC 20 2025. So we will be having this particular PAX essay challenge in the year 2025. So we will be collecting essay written by our students from different platform, different organization, different national movements, and other stakeholders that we have our connection with. So uh, this particular initiative, this particular platform is very much kind of special for our students, because they can be a part of global solidarity, that they can write their own stories, they can give their own ideas and insights about peace and other things. So we have the theme, so we have already shared this uh, link in our social media platforms. So you can go through our social media platforms and get more details as well. So you can, or you can just scan the QR code from here as well. So we are given, we are giving this particular platform to our students so that they can represent themselves, or they can partake in different international events like World Youth Day and other programs that we are having globally. So this is the event that we are collecting the applications for now. Please join, please scan the code, and then be with us. Before we conclude the webinar with the closing prayer, can we take a group photo first, Betha, and then we will just have the closing prayer. Okay, other people, please turn on your cameras if possible. Otherwise, you can do just give some kind of reactions more. Okay, love, react, or other any gestures. Okay, Elizabeth, Sharon, Maria, Princess. Wow, we have Princess. Okay, Nipuni, Salman. Okay, okay, coming. Okay, okay.
All right.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Regina and Desani, please go ahead.
Yes, before we go over to the closing prayer, I would like to thank everybody for being present today and then making this small webinar a success. So yeah, thank you to everyone and especially to our key speakers, the three key speakers, and also to the Asia Pacific team. So yeah, Desani, please. Gracious Creator and Sustainer, we gather in gratitude for the 7-year senatorial journey of Pax Romana IMCS International Movement of Catholic Students from 2021 to 2027.
We thank you for pioneers of visionaries who centuries ago embraced the gospel message of love and compassion and respond to your call to be witness of the gospel in colleges and universities and among young people. We remember and honor those who embodied of the spirit Pax Roman in their lives and in their commitments to the gospel as a missionary displays of Jesus Christ. Today, we honor the many young people who have carried this torch, working for the peace, justice, and the care of the creation in their communities, societies, and countries, as well as internationally. In a world facing great challenges such as war, poverty, inequality, and climate crisis, we ask your guidance to be agents of the social change and the promote and witness to justice, peace, and solidarity, synergy. Bless our movement to remain space, courageous leadership, and the global citizenship with the wisdom through reflection and action in solidarity with the people at the margin and Mother Earth. May the spirit of the Pax Roman movement continue to inspire to us, build a bridge, and to be of the hope, a world longing for your transforming power and grace. Glory to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Almighty glory. Amen.
Mm.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, once again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this webinar on